when human beings are talking, will Igbo too talk? Human beings are talking, Igbo too is talking. Every evil on earth, they are number one. Human beings are talking. Igbo too will talk. Open their mouth to talk Igbo. Yes, I have Igbo blood in me, and I'm ashamed of that Igbo blood in me. If I have a way to remove it, I will remove it. Human beings are talking, Igbos too are talking. Quick. Always abusing other people as if they had anything. Nothing.
Good about SVR, this is satellite media. Mr. Chinedu Michael, haven't watched a video where Asari Dukobo is casting aspersion on the Igbos. I want to get a reaction because he said he regrets the Igbo blood in him, that he have his way, he want to remove that blood. This is your brother saying that Igbos should not talk when others are talking. Is he right?
I don't think. I don't think he has adequate information about what he's saying in the first place. I don't think he has done a proper research work on his medulla oblongata to be able to understand the kind of thing he is saying. I don't think Asari Dokubo has done a background check properly on his brain before he coming out, to talk about the most popular, the most resilient, the most hardworking tribe in Nigeria, if not Africa, so to say. I want to give you an insight because I know that after the expiration of the Ohanese president, Emmanuel Iwanyanwo, the next Ohanese president is going to the River State and Ikwere for that matter. Let me give you a little reference. The first Oba of Benin, if you can go through his archives and possibly his write-ups, you discover where he made certain statements about the Ijo people, the Ichie, the Kwere, and the rest of them. The history are always there. He can go and do his findings. Who are the Ndoke people? How come we had the Ijo? What is the spelling of Ijo as at that time? Before the coming of colonization. There are histories are there everywhere. He said he claimed that he's from Abia State. That's what he said. But if you look at what is actually inside Asari Dokubo, you discover that he is playing criminal, just political game. Criminal political game. That's what he's playing now. If you sit down and look at his statement he put to the public, almost targeting a particular race, you discover so many things, about him that you see a level of frustration. You see a man that is certainly confused. You see a man whose wish, he cannot meet. You see a man who has consistently, looked like someone who is struggling with his own self. That is the Asari Dokubo I'm talking about. But why he cannot be able to do anything if he has what it takes, to mold the air, then he can be able to, all he's saying about Igbos can be able to have direct effect. But in as much as he has no power to do that, Asari Dukobo is just is beating, a criminal political reaction, to attract whatever he feel like attracting. He said he's from Abia State, Ijo, this and that. They say they are this and that. We know when all these things happen. We know how sorrow we were as at that time, immediately after the war, sold most properties that belonged to Ojuku's father in Port Harcourt. But the same Asari Dokubo a few days ago came out and told the whole world that 70-80% of people in River State currently now are Igbos. If you go to Delta, the same thing. If you go to even to Bayelsa, where he come from, you still have traces of about 50% land people there belonging to Igbos. So you can see the whole thing that is playing out, and people are beginning to understand, and his words and his statement or whatever he comes out to say, for many people now is no longer relevant. If you have reservation about your position in the coming of restoration of Biafra, and the people said they do not want you again, you have to look for a way, to amend things, and not always coming up because you fell out with the Biafran agitators or people who are the scene trying to formulate and push and restore the Biafran conquest. You fell out with them because you wanted a certain position to be given to you, and they said no. It is not like that. That is the genesis of all the reservations Asari Dukobo is having today against an Igbo man. If you look at it very well, as I speak to you today, if you look at it very well, look at the genesis of the black generation till today. Look at the genesis of advanced black generation till today. You will still find something to do with an Igbo. No, there's no race, there's no tribe in this world that you can say that they have outright 100% good people. There's always a good nature and there's always a bad nature. But whatever is attached to Igbo, you cannot say it is a bad nature. The Igbo illuminates anywhere they find themselves. The Igbo get to a point, of admiration. The Igbo are adventurers, they are discoverers. The Igbo man has never been a slave to anybody. Okay, presently in Nigeria, talking about 104 years of Nigerian existence as a nation since Nigeria came into limelight.
Let us look at his assertion that the Igbo man is a slave. He mentioned, used so many unprintable names, words that I may not want to start mentioning in the air, but he said the Igbo man is a slave. Is it true?
Igbo man can never be a slave, and there's no traces that Igbo man is a slave. Igbo man can only be a slave to God in heaven, not to man. And in every era, there is always a wilderness for every race. So the Igbo nation has had their own wilderness, had their own Egypt in the course of trying to revolve their identity, in the course of trying to revolve as a nation, in the course of trying to revolve as a race, in the course of trying to revolve as a tribe. So they went into different stages of that involvement. You have the era where Igbos are struggling to identify a geographical location, talking about when Ingri left Ethiopia down to here, Eri himself. No, we're talking about then the era of Ingri, where all these things are all there. So every tribe has a time, has an era, but the manifestation of Igbo, started from 15th, 16th, 18th century, as I speak to you. So, and that is why the Oni of Ife always make references that, the Igbos are the ancient people of West Africa.
Now, looking at his statement that he's an Igbo man, of course, he has declared himself your brother. And again, he said he regret the Igbo blood in him, that if he had his way, that he want to remove that Igbo blood in him. Will you be advising to go for blood transfusion, or what will be your advice to him?
If you feel that he want to remove the Igbo blood in him, it's very easy to do that. Take away all the blood you have there. Yeah, they can give you any type of blood you want. Then let us know whether it will change your identity, or whether it will change who you are, or whether you change, your generation, or whether even your name it will change your name to something else. So the what he's trying to say, if you look at that statement very well, you understand that Asari Dokubo was trying to be who he is not, by the way he makes certain statements. Because you look at him, he talks. If somebody Nigerians have come to understand that most times He talked from both sides of the mouth. And if you begin to read meaning into it, you will see that most of the things he says, has no foundation. Most of the things he says is based on, the criminal, corrupt, minded state of what he intends to achieve with it.
Now, you have said he's gruntled, perhaps politically gruntled. But at what point did an Asari Dukobo fall out with Igbo? Because we understand that at the point, he was working in synergy with Mazina Adekalo to see to the restoration of Biafra sovereign states. At what point did they fall apart and we start seeing an Asari Dukobo casting aspersion on his brothers, the Igbos?
It did not start from him. This propaganda they are carrying about did not start from Asari Dokubo. It was an impacted fake knowledge, that has been carrying along, feeling that he might subsequently be fused properly into the Biafran agenda, So he has these reservations, this impacted knowledge about Igbo, created by the damaging effect of the war, one. Two, created by those who does not want the influence of Igbo, to spread, down to even the western part of the country. That is just it. That is it. So he has this reservation already, bottled up in him. So this is the only time he went back and started reactivating those false knowledge about Igbo, those false knowledge about their territory, those false knowledge about their identity, those false knowledge and propaganda, of how Igbos came to be. So it did not start from him. I won't say it started from Asari Dukobo. No, it did not start from him. But at a point, when he identified the likes of Uwazurike, Raf Uwazurike, during Obasanjo's era, where the three ethnic militia, surfaced in the country in 1999 when Obasanjo came into power. You had the OPC as at that time. Then you have the MASOP, and you have the Boko Haram, the Ariwa Consultative Forum, trying to create a kind of caliphate. You can see these three major ethnic lords trying to, play along the identity card, trying to play regionalism, military. Let me put it that way. Asari Dokubo, as at that time, there was this militant tendency, and what was happening in the Niger Delta that time, as a result of the conspiracy too, from their own man, Sarawiwa worked against the interests of Biafra, even though that most of his education that was powered by free education, he was directly sponsored by Igbos. He went to government college Umaya. This is what we are talking about today. That later, because of the ceasefire between Nigeria and Biafra civil war, he went ahead and declared Biafra because of his influence that Port Harcourt is not an Igbo land, and it automatically sold properties that belong to Ojuku's father. You can see where the game started. So Sarawiwa did not know that while he was doing all those things, just to attract the enemies of Biafra, he was busy sowing this kind of fake false knowledges that people like Asari Dokubo now has come to embrace. So at that point, Raf Uwazurike came online. The South, we are not too relevant in terms of, fusing them into the issue on ground as at that time. So Asari Dokubo was, started showing support for Uwazurike under Masop. So that was how the whole thing started. And when Uwazurike, couldn't be able to move along, because we know that as at that time the federal government had to hold Uwazurike to hold Asari Dokubo and one other person too as at that time, So then we now witness the rising of IPOB, and he now switched over to IPOB and was demanding that he occupy a certain interest when Biafra has not come. And that was really the beginning of the problem. That was when he started seeing Igbo man as a betrayer. He started seeing Igbo man from different perspectives. But he never mentioned it for one day that his brother from Ijo, Sarawiwa, was busy, selling properties, championing abandoned property that belongs to the Igbos. As at that time, so you can see where the reservation and the grievances of what Asari Dokubo, which it does not hold water. And remember, let me tell you, just recently, the entire Niger Delta squad, team, forum, militants gave federal government 14-day ultimatum to release Nnamdi Kanu. What does that tell you? That Asari Dokubo era has passed, the era of Tombolo has passed. They are breeding current powerful forces that will stand the test of time. Not this one that has the most regrettable thing that somebody like Tombolo, who I have some level of respect for, suddenly begin to take contracts from the federal government, not forgetting that as we are talking today, what they fought for, what they not Dokubo, what somebody like Tombolo fought for is still there. Is still there, staring them in the face. That is a massive destruction in Niger Delta as a result of oil exploration. What are the people of Niger Delta benefiting from the exploration? Nothing. You can see that, but you look at Nnamdi Kanu, they made it very clearly that after the exploration of 14-day ultimatum, that they have been watching Nigeria and Nnamdi Kanu all this while. They called Nnamdi Kanu their own brother. Niger Delta. They said, we have been watching all this while. So you can see that people like Asari Dokubo, at a point will come that he will be handled quietly, in a way that he will understand and begin to have a proper rethink. He doesn't have any orientation. What Asari Dokubo needs at this moment is that orientation, that will transform that mentality of being too dependent of those who are destroying Niger Delta for their selfish reason, interest at the end of the day.
Mr. Chinedu Michael, I think I must say a very big thank you for your time. I think this is a good place to let it go, if you permit me.
Okay. Yes. If you're watching this platform today, I just want to make this statement very clearly. There's nothing like Niger Delta. There's nothing like South South. What we have is Eastern Nigeria. And when the time comes, that issue will be addressed. And thank God that the people from that region too are also demanding for the immediate release of Nnamdi Kanu. Some other developments you can watch on this platform. Also, you can reach us on Today Media on our YouTube channel, where you will discover the mysteries, what the African countries, what the Sahel nations are currently doing in Abuja to make sure, and of course in the world, to make sure that the Prince of Africa emerge. I won't mention the name today. I won't tell you who is the Prince of Africa. The Prince of Africa, I won't tell you. But when you watch that video, when you watch that platform on Today Media, you discover the mystery surrounding why Africans, ECOWAS, AU is struggling, working hard to share, to make an agreement with the Prince of Africa. God bless you, and thank you for watching.
Okay, now you talked about Niger Delta, that there's nothing like Niger Delta. That what you have is Eastern region. I don't think Nigerian government will agree with you. And apart from Nigerian government, I don't think some of the persons from this region will agree with you.
No. I did not come to this platform to argue that. People have the different understanding to different things, and we know that the quest for Niger started from Onitsha, Niger from Benue and Onitsha before what is Niger Delta? If I can look into that very well, Niger Delta, what is Niger and what is Delta? Is that an identity? That is not an identity, these things were being done by the colonial damage. This is a colonial damage anyway, and they have come to accept it. And the issue of South, we know when South came up, we know how South came up. All these things we are geared towards bringing this loop-sided government of Nigeria, at least to the people closer. And that's the reason why they come up with South, and the people who actually did it, know what they are doing, what they intend to achieve. But you know that in every direct road in Nigeria, it is always been derailed. They have derailed the concept of South-South, and they have also derailed the genesis and the concept of Niger Delta. Niger Delta, I don't want to mention them, but we know that before that time, there were old East Central states. Old East Central states. If you doubt me, anybody that doubts me, apart from a certain interest, using it against a certain interest, go and read the address of Chief Obafemi Awolowo on the eve of the Nigeria Biafran War. Then that's when you discover what is South-South and what is Niger Delta. Thank you.
I think I must say very big thank you for your time, Mr. Chinedu Michael. Thank you very much. This is Satellite Media.